Hi, we are going to build a to-do application on Boomla that has an input field at the top where you can enter new to-dos. You can hit save to create those items or record them in your list. You can reorder them manually. You can check them off, and using the text editing feature built into the Boomla editor, you will be able to change rename those to-dos or edit them as well. So I have a little cheat sheet for what I want to accomplish. So let's dive in. First, we are starting by creating a new project and start from scratch. Use a new domain or a subdomain of boomla.net. Let's use to-do demo. There you go, it's an empty project. We are going to boomla.com and the Boomla store, and we are going to install the UIKit code package on this website. Go back to the store and also install the Turbo CSS base package. Install there. Okay, we are done. And if we refresh the page, we get the error that the file type is not set on the root file, which is correct. We haven't set it. So let's open the IDE. The first time we open it, we need to install it. Now that is done. And if we go for the root file and open its file properties and attributes, you can see the type is empty. So there's a built-in type called page1, which we are going to use. And now it shows a blank screen. It is actually showing all the, rendering all the contents in the main bucket. There's nothing, so hence the page is empty. So let's create a new element using the UIKit code package and go in full width blocks. And I'm going to use a simple paper layout. I think that one will do. Yeah, that seems good. This is also responsive. So if the screen is smaller, that will get smaller as well. So that's perfect for us. Now, let's add a inner blocks text. Let's create an element for the page title. I'm going to right click, show in IDE. This is the text file, and we can change the heading here to say that we are building a to-do app. So now it says to-do app. Maybe add some margin bottom 16, get some space, perfect. And we are going either we can just remove this element from here and to create a new file. I think I will do that so you can see how we go from the very base. So let's call it maybe to-do app and place it after the text. It doesn't have a type yet, so we will get an error that the file type is missing on that file. So now let's set it to app1, which is the generic type for creating an application. And now it says the inline method is not defined on that file. So let's go inside it and create a .inline file for the inline method. And again, if we go back, we will get an error again that the file type is missing on the inline file, which we haven't set yet. And we are going to write server-side JavaScript, SJS, and use the 4ET version of it, which is embedded and the Turbo dialect. And that's some code here just to verify it works now. It does, great. So we want to do three things. We want to show a form. We want to save the submitted form. And we want to list to-do entries. All right, so let's start by showing a form. When we submit the form, it shall go to the same page. So I usually just use a question mark, which means whatever path was before it will get suffixed by this question mark. So if in case there was foo equals bar, this question mark, make sure that it will not be there anymore. So we will just reload the same page, essentially with a question mark after it. So I'm using action, question mark, and methods because this is going to make changes on the server side. We are going to use a post request, so method post. And let's go to Turbo, maybe go from Boomla.com, Turbo CSS, and open Turbo UI. And I'm going to look for an input field with a button. So basically this, so that the user can enter the to-do name here and then submit it. So I'm going to copy that and insert it inside our form. Let's see how this looks. Unexpected token. Yeah, because I haven't closed the JavaScript section. All right. And I wanted this to span the entire row or column. So let's do that. I like to do BGC red to see the size of it. So that element spans it. And it's a flex container. So probably none of the children of it are growing, so let's use flex 1 to make it grow. Okay, that does it. And I also want the text to appear on the left, not on the right. That's weird. So let's remove text right from here. The default is left, so that looks good. So I'm happy with that. Maybe as the page reloads, I want my focus to be on that input field. So let's add auto focus here. And instead of my subdomain as a placeholder, maybe add some example to do, like, I don't know, have fun. All right. So this is a base form. Now we are going to give the input field a name. We could prefix these variable names. So whatever we use here will be sent in the query parameters, but actually it will be the post parameter. So if it would be a GET request, it would be here, and maybe create to-do equals, I don't know, and here the name of the to-do would be escape in an escape form. Because it's a post request, this is going to go in the background, but nevertheless, it's a global variable. So if there would be other apps on the page, we would need to namespace these variables, because this is a single page app and we control all the code, and this is not going to be like this application. There will be one instance on the same page. We don't need to escape it in that case. I will leave that off. So this will be the maybe to-do create or I still want to prefix them with to-do, so maybe to-do create. And so that's the name of the input field and the variable. And so if the form is submitted, then it will come back here in the next page load. So let's check if the to-do create variable has a value. So if request dot attribute string to do, so our new to do title equals this. We could check whether this variable exists, but I don't want to create two entries in case the input field was empty. So if the user just comes here and keeps hitting this button, the variable will exist without a value, and I still don't want to handle that. So we're going to check if this value is not empty, so not nothing, then we shall create a new to-do entry. And the question is where it shall exist. So let's take a step back and create a buckets file here for defining a new bucket where the to-do entries can be stored. If you go a level up, there's already a buckets file. So I'm going to copy this, go into our to-do app and edit it. So here, instead of calling it main bucket, I'm going to call it to-dos. And you're going to worry about the methods that those files need to implement to be able to be placed here. This is not enforced when simply creating a file via via code. This is only enforced during drag and drop operations. So we can create a new file by saying f dot, oh, by the way, there's the to-dos bucket now. So f.new os.append appends to this bucket. So every time an entry will be added at the end, and the name shall be to-do, and it should go in the to-dos bucket. And now notice that the first time the to-do file name will not be used, so that's fine to use it, but the second time it will be taken, so we want to use some numeric variants of it, which is what will happen if we add os.rename here. So that creates a new to-do file, so var to-do equals that. And we are going to set the title of that file by saying to-do.title shall be whatever was provided. Now, this can optionally rename our to-dos. So if you want to automatically have them like, let me show that instead. So for now, we are just going to change the title and maybe show an information that the to-do was created. So we are going to add some code here, go back to toolbar UI, inner blocks, alerts. I'm going to copy that code here, copy. And instead of, let's say, to-do created, it's good enough for now. So now if we come back and say, now we had the focus, I don't know, create to-do app, and hit enter, then it says the to-do was created. By the way, we could add the little margin at the bottom, so margin 16. And yeah, if we refresh it, you will see the to-do here with the title field populated by the text we have entered there. So that's great. And now the spacing is there as well, and the new file is created now with the new title. Okay, so what I mentioned here with the ability to rename those to-dos to match a URL-friendly version of that, to do this, we can pass it a variable true, and that will rename the file. So if we now create a new to-do, blah, 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 and then maybe lots of spaces and question marks and all these weird characters that you don't want to see it in the URL. If I create it now and refresh, the special chars will be removed, the spaces will be turned into dashes, and there will be no multiple dashes, just a single one. So that's a search engine friendly or human friendly version of the title, which is the original one here. So I leave this up to you if you want to use the named to-dos or just those with the IDs. I think I will leave it as it is right now. Okay, so now we have created those to-dos. We have a few already. So now it's time to list them. How to do that? f.query. Let's get all the files in the to-dos bucket. That's how you do it. And then we can iterate on them. So this is a callback function that will be executed on every to-do. So one after the other, this function is executed where the to-do variable points to those files one after the other. So now we can just show some HTML again. So maybe wrap it in a div. T1 for turbo CSS, which I forgot to add here. By the way, in case you forget it, you can use T1 all to apply the turbo CSS reset to the entire subtree of a DOM element. In case you want to render other files inside an element, then it's not recommended, because in case those elements will use something other than turbo CSS, there could be a conflict. So in this case, we could use it, but I generally don't like to use it. And yeah, I don't recommend you either. So you can use it, but I'm not going to tell you to do that. Okay, so let's show the to-do title here, which we can do like this, to-do.title. Now, if we use this form with two equal signs, then it will not be escaped. if we use just one, it will be escaped. So we do want to escape the values in case it contains some HTML chars. f.gray to do z, because nothing was shown, and now they're shown. Great. And actually, I think I want to have the form at the top. So let's move it to the top, or move the entries to the bottom. And now we need to close the, wait a second, open the JavaScript block. There you go. And now I would like to have margin bottom added here, 16. Okay, now that looks great. So if we add new to-dos, they will be added. So at this point, adding to-dos works, and I don't like this this alert here, just in the way I see anyway when a to-do is added. So let's remove it. Okay, and as we all know, to-do lists grow to infinity. Let's add the new ones to the top, because the new ones is always the most important one. So let's use, instead of append, we are going to use prepend. That is going to add your items to the top of the list. So that's the first one. Okay, looks pretty good. Now, how to check off items? What if we are done with the to-do? We can add, oops, a box here at the start to check it off. So let's just make it an anchor. No, that's not good, because if we use an anchor, that would put the query parameters in the URL, but we are making a change on the server, so we should use a post request for that. So I'm going to use a form here as well. I'm applying the reset here this time. And we're going to use the same question mark and methods post. And inside the form, I'm going to add the button. And that button should look like a checkbox, because we are checking off an item. So I know that there's a list which looks like checkboxes. So let's see the code. This is the third one. And that seems to be the code for the elements. So I still want it to be a button, but look like a checkbox. So yeah, let's see how this looks. Let's put them on the same line. Thanks. What? Oh, this one. Okay, and maybe add some spacing on the right. And vertically align them correctly to the center. Nice. And maybe two things. I would like to have a hover effect. So if I hover, the checkbox should be shown like this. So I'm going to copy that and change this. How was it? Okay, so that's the button. And let's see the style differences. It's using brand color. So on hover, we shall use brand. Without hover, we should use that. And there is a border that is dark gray that doesn't exist on hover. Actually, I think I do want a little darker border around there. So let's say hover, up on hover, we want to use the brand color, but instead of shade 500, let's use a little bit darker, like 600. And then we can get rid of this. And also the SVG shall be only shown up on hover. So this shall be, I think it can be a block level element when it's shown. and hidden when it's not public. So maybe like this. Let's see how it works. Almost. Now, so the blue color with the border is there. Oh yeah, we don't want to show it when the element is hovered, but when its parent is hovered. So let's add this. Yay, perfect. And I also wanted them to be a little bit bigger, at least on mobile. Maybe, let's try this. Let's use this with some additional vertical margins. Too much. All right, that does it. Yeah, I like that. Good. So now we have this button, and if I click it, nothing happens. So we want to delete those items because they're checked off. So let's do this. Let's give this button a name. Similar to TODO create, let's call it TODO remove. But now we need to give the value as well, which shall be TODO.name. The easiest way to identify one of those files is by its name. So let's use this. And now if a TODO is to be removed, let's call this create TODO. Oh man. And let's call this remove entry. TODO remove. And remove by name, let's call it, or yeah. So if remove by name is not empty, then the TODO shall be, let's find the file relative to the TODO app file. So select the TODO by its name, which is remove by name. Yeah. If there is no such, so if it exists, we can just remove it. If it doesn't exist, if there is no such file as TODO, then we shall throw an error. Throw new error. There is no TODO with TODO entry with name. Remove by name. Nice. So when it exists, we can remove it. And we again don't need to show any special alerts. Let's try this. I just killed it. I can imagine that buttons can't have a value. Yeah, that's it. So in that case, we are going to add an input type. Whoops, input type. Come on. Hidden name shall be TODO remove, value shall be this. And now we just use this button for submitting the form, and this value will be passed along. So let's refresh and try to submit those items. That works nicely. Great. So here's my to-do list for creating a to-do list app. So let's check the items off. Create form is done. Create entries, list entries, focus, remove entries. The next one is text editing support. Yeah, let's enable text editing. So here is where we show the to-do buttons, and this says action, sorry, create to-do. Better. So this is the list, this is the to-do title. So we want to make this element editable. Let's end the to-do expression and make it editable by adding O1 content editable. And upon saving, the value should be saved back in the file's title. Which file's title? You have to mark up this entire element as like reference which file it belongs to. So let's close this again and say O1 file, data O1 path shall be, and here we need to specify which file, oops, it is, which is todo.path. So now two things will happen. First, we should be able to select these files and they will be highlighted in the sidebar as well. Second, we should be able to edit them. And if we save or close the text editing tab, the page will reload and this will be renamed. So this seems to work. When I open the text editing tab, I would like these to span the entire row. So maybe add flex 1 here. Nice, that looks better. Okay, great. Let me check this off. Drag and drop. So how can we sort these? Because right now if we drag, drop is not allowed. That's because the bucket definitions say that elements need to implement the inline method to be able to drop here, which means we could drop the title in here, in this bucket, but we can't drop, whoops, undo, we can't drop the to-do items themselves. So how to fix this? First, we need to create a new type. So let's create a to-do entry type. And this is going to be an app itself. And the only purpose of that is to create a method with a lower letter, because that's what you can define. So to-do entry, and then just some mumbo jumbo so that it will be unique. That's my way of generating a unique string. And you don't need to give it a type, you can leave it empty. The point is that inside that app, this file exists. We go back to buckets and just enter this file name here. And then we need to set the type of all these files to point to that app. So the way to do that is use /to-do entry. The reason why we need dot, because if you don't use it, the system would look for the to-do entry file inside the app itself. So you need to go level up and then select it. Because I don't want to update all of them one by one, and we need to update our application anyway. I'm going to come here and make sure we set the type, to-do.type, to that to-do entry app. And then I'm just going to remove all these. Come back here, recreate them. And now we should be able to drop them. Not inside it, but before. So now we have sorting capability as well. Check this off. Let's create an empty state. So if we remove all of these, oh, let me check those off. Oh, so good feeling. All right, so now it shows nothing, but you know, we want to show something to encourage the user to reach the empty state of the to-do list app. So let's go to undraw.co. Browse now. Search for success. I think there was one that I liked. Yeah, this one. We are going to change our color. So let me find our brand color, brand blue, and copy the color code from here. Customize the main color. And that's what we have. I don't really like the red here, but let's download this. And because, let's open this show in folder. Right, so it's quite big. I don't want to have this in my code. It's too big for that. So I'm going to just name it success. Oh, I had it before. Let's name it success. All right, and let's upload this in our application. So here sorry for toggling tabs so often. Let's upload it somewhere in the 0 bucket. And now we will first assign those to-dos to a variable and then iterate on them. But first, if to-dos.length equals 0, then we show the empty state. Otherwise, we are going to list the entries. Great. And here we show this SVG. So the SVG comes here, and then a little text here that nothing or whatever. And here we could either inline the SVG or load it as an image. Let me say var image equals f.select, or actually not f. We can use f, which is the to-do app file, or we can use source, which is the inline file. No dots. Actually, I prefer source in case we are referencing source files. So source.select, which is source is this file we are editing right now. And now the success file is next to it, so we use /success.svg, and then var image path shall be image.path, and we want to enable caching, so we append L1 cache equals image.body hash. Fine. And now we can embed the image here. The source being that. Yeah. Let's see how that looks. Almost good. That's big. So you've centered it, let's center that as well. Nice, that could be a bit bigger. Alright, margin top 16. Maybe color brand or blue, whichever. And add some spacing here as well. A bit more. And maybe bottom as well. Okay, that's good. And I don't like this. This red. I'm going to come here. Find the red color. Oh, it's an image here. So we need to open the SVG. Now we can select this, and here's the red color, but it's in a hex code. So now we can come back, and here we shall find all occurrences of the red and replace it with our brand color. If I find it, there you go. So now I'm pasting it everywhere. Refresh, it's blue. Oh, it's so blue. What about Turbo CSS, fundamentals, default colors. What is the color of the default green? It's this. Let's try that. Maybe, yeah, let's say it's okay. Okay, so now we can add items, and if we remove all of them, we can see the empty screen. So we can check this off, and the last one is to commit the project. So let's do this. I'm closing all the other tabs and just commit it because we're done with coding. Implement TODO app. That was it.